What up? Welcome to the Johninthemiddle Show podcast. I'm Chris. I'm kidding. It turns out that I'm John in the Middle. True story. And this is episode 3 of the Johninthemiddle Show. Man. A lot to talk about. I was on Twitter and I saw a painting of 3 men being crucified, and I was like, why is so much of fine art like just scenes of despair? Like, who exactly is this for? What? Like, to me as an artist, like truly as an artist, as a guy who did that silk scarf by Goldwater, brought to you by Goldwater brand, goldwaterbrand.com for all your 100% silk scarf needs with original art by me, Michael John in the Middle. I did that as an artist, right? Long story long, which is why I have this opinion, which is like, dude, you could paint anything. You can paint anything. Why are you painting some sad stuff? I just don't get it. Now, the other side of that could be, well, I want to express sadness because I feel this or that. And I suppose to that I say, you want to stay feeling like that? Because like attracts like. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to keep painting some sad like that, like, especially with a medium like art, like, it's primal. You know what I mean? Like, it's all energy. Why not paint? Excuse me. Why not paint or create something that's like joyous, that demonstrates gratitude, that's not gray and brown and black and gross? And I'm just like, who wants to see this? And then like most of the art that I see that's like that is religious art, and no problem, no issue. It's just it's interesting that religious art has the most, particularly like Christian Catholic art from the Italian Renaissance, has the most like scenes of despair. Like, you know, a lot of times in fine art there'll be like a painting of a carcass or something like that. In a lot of instances, to be fair, paintings of like dismembered bodies and stuff like that were, you know, for anatomy purposes, like it was for study. Like a lot of times those kind of paintings and illustrations were for medicinal purposes or medical practice purposes. So like Michelangelo or Da Vinci or another, you know, a lot of the great Italian Renaissance painters, draftsmen, were doing a lot of medical art as well. So that's just to be fair. But then there's stuff like 3 guys being crucified. And then I look at Peter Paul Rubens and I'm like, what? Or like some lady holding a ferret or something like that. And it's just, or like it's this weird, like, I don't know. There's nothing wrong with it. There is no wrong when it comes to art. Let's be very clear. I just want to know why that. Why that? And then to be fair, they ask me the same thing. Why is some dude falling from the sky on your silk scarf? Why is the original artwork for that a guy in Mayan cultural attire falling from the sky? And that'd be a fair question. But I have an answer for it. You know what I mean? And I just want to know what theirs is. Like, why 3, whatever. You know? It could have been anything, bro. Like, why is it so sad? I don't know. So that's how my 8 minutes before we started filming went. Just cruising Instagram and Twitter, looking at art. And then I also ran across an article. I won't say the name of the artist, but it was the title of the article described the painting that was being celebrated as a hyper-realistic painting of Harriet Tubman. And I looked at the painting and I was like, yeesh. But I looked at who was standing next to the painting. Then I was like, got it. It made total sense. You know what I mean? And no harm, no foul. That's part of the arts practice, figuring out how to present yourself to the art world and the world at large, right? No harm, no foul. I was in observance of it, and I was like, And then earlier, a couple of days ago, I saw an ad. There's I won't say the name of this person, but there's a figure in the arts that is of color, and this person appears in several different ads for several different kind of things, right? And again, do it. I'm just, it's just a part of the story. It's just part of my thinking, right? And I wonder if those same never mind. No, that's good. But I suppose I wonder, like, are there opportunities that are being missed that could be used to speak to the issues that Black America faces today? Are those missed opportunities when mediocre art is selected? And then it's like, why is that mediocre art selected? Right? Is it because the artist is ultimately a part of the artwork and we're really admiring the artist? That could be it too. I also think as a Black artist, for me, as a Black artist, I'm like, what is the criteria for us as Black artists and Black people? Because as we all know, Black people don't do art. Check out blackpeopledon'tdoart.com and watch my film, directed and created, written, shot, art directed, edited, all the stuff by me. Black People Don't Do Art, a film about addressing the instance where my granddad told me, upon me sharing with him that I wanted to go to art school, he told me Black people don't do art. And the film addresses why he's right, why he's wrong, and the current state of the arts and the future of the arts, particularly for Black people. Check it out at blackpeopledon'tdoart.com. Check it out at blackpeopledon'tdoart.com. You won't regret it. Check it out at blackpeopledon'tdoart.com. Anyway, as we all know, Black people don't do art. Not the same way we do music and sports in terms of patronage, support, participation, whatever. And for that reason, it's rare that Black people are hip to the happenings of Black art in the art world, right? So then it becomes up to the few Black people that are citizens of the art world to critique Black art, right? Ideally, right? The caveat is, in my opinion, for Black voices and Black art to be taken seriously, as seriously as the Guggenheim, LACMA, SF MoMA, Chicago Institute of the Arts, Met Museum, like to be taken seriously the same way globally respected museums like Tate Modern or the Louvre are. Black art needs black institutions and like real institutions. But because we don't have those yet, there are very few black people who prioritize black interest and black art participating in the art world. And I believe that is what could benefit black people. And if art in general can benefit black people, I think that's when black people will care about black art and therefore patronize it and pay attention to it and hold it with two hands and embrace and contribute to culture the same way all of us contribute and participate with into culture, like music, even on social media, like the way we use songs on TikTok or the way that Instagram allows you to add music to post now. Like that doesn't happen without hip hop in no way, shape, or form, and it's not even close. I'm not arguing with anyone about it. Doesn't happen without hip hop. It doesn't happen without black people prioritizing an art form and perfecting it, and then it being ultimately sold. And then we're in 2021. What an amazing segue. And then we have my next topic. Why I need to leave Jay-Z alone. I randomly stumbled across this Jay-Z concert on Tidal. Like it was on Tidal, but it was on YouTube or something like that from years ago. I think it was from like 2015 or something like that. And I was just like, man, Jay-Z is such a GOAT. Like, and it's not even close. Like, yo, I was just like, man, we need a cultural shift. I feel like someone needs to make Jay-Z upset so he can do what Jay does. I feel like, yeah, like, Jay-Z is that dude that's such a GOAT that you forget how brilliant he is. Like, Jay, yeah, I can't even hold you. Like, and then I was thinking about like Jay-Z, Kanye, and they're both geniuses, like bonkers geniuses. This different, very, very different. One is smoother. One is a little bit more spontaneous. Which is, yeah. So, in other news, I saw a post about a baby named LaMelo Parker that was robbed of. It's just so sad to even say. Like, the baby, like the literal baby, was lost his life at the hands of police. I forget where, but apparently this happened in May of 2021. And I'm just like, what? And then I saw the post yesterday. I'm like, how am I seeing this now? And why does this have 500,000 likes, but the hashtag for LaMelo Parker only has fewer than 100 hashtags? It's strange to me. It's really strange to me. And then I'm like, this isn't the first time that like news about police brutality has gotten to people months later. I just wonder what that's about. I don't know that it means anything, but it is a little interesting, for sure. And I mean, obviously, like, a baby being shot and killed by police. How did we get here? How did we get here? Where a deadly weapon is even pulled out in the presence of a baby. Like, what exactly do people that are police see when they see black people? I just don't know anymore. Like, it's such a baby? A baby. Come on, son. How do you even explain that? A baby. You murdered a baby? It's like, who even wants to talk? Ugh. But that's the situation we're in as black people. Like, it's scary. It's scary. Like, there was a time during slavery where black babies would be thrown into the water to alligators, crocodiles, and eaten alive. And like, when I read that story, that's what I thought about. That's really what I thought about. This reality in American history, where babies were treated like literal livestock, like oof. I also suppose, like, another reason, well, two reasons that while I'm a fine artist, I also am an arts ambassador. And by this point, a cultural expert, an art expert, and someone who truly cares about how this culture reaches most people, right? Average people. How do we reintroduce people to themselves with art, right? Through culture, right? The history that they're attached to, the culture that they're attached to, the lineage that they're attached to, but also, you know, how art can heal, right? I think because of the example, ultimately the example of the Italian Renaissance, art kind of tumbled into a position where art, for the most part, the relationship that people have with art, because of the example set by nobles patronizing artists during the Italian Renaissance, right? And gaining, as a result, gaining ownership of the works of art that those artists created, like Michelangelo, like Da Vinci, for instance, right? The idea with art, for most people, is that someone makes a work of art, someone buys it, right, and then the value appreciates, and as it should. All of that's all good. It should that should keep happening because I want that for my art too. Right? I'm just mentioning because that's what it is. And so on and so forth. So on and so forth. And that's all good. However, I think the gem truly with art is in how we're relating to it right now currently, which is how I just explained it, which is, people buy art that they like, galleries showcase art that they like, that they think will sell, artwork sells, it appreciates, artists become famous, and all that kind of stuff. Excellent. I desire to achieve all of those milestones as well. There is no bad. I'm saying, in addition to all of that great stuff, art can heal. Art does heal. Art in all forms. The issue, among several, is that we're at a place in society where arts literacy is at an all-time low. What am I saying? Do people even know what qualifies as art? There are people that spend all day every day. There are people that spend all day every day creating content for social media or figuring out how to get a ping pong ball to bounce off of 4 walls and then bounce off of a wood panel and then land inside of a pickle jar. And they're doing it live. They're streaming it live, right? Like, we're in a new age. And all of these creative opportunities are just that. They're opportunities, to be creative. And that is art. It's not the kind of art that I produce in terms of my focus being fine art. Of course, I love producing this kind of content, right? And will continue to. However, my focus is fine art. It's painting, it's drawing, it's producing my fashion, my streetwear with gold water, making my motion graphics, So, all of those things are elements of my practice. And that's me. But whether it's for a finished piece or not, art has the ability to attach language to feelings. And when you can attach language to feelings, you have created an opportunity for yourself to be able to better process those feelings, those emotions. And, be it music or visual art or sculpting or dance is a big one, or like sport. In a lot of ways, sports is an art form too, depending on what it is. Writing, journaling, poetry, like it doesn't have to be something that is a finished piece. The point is to express something, right? In a way that's safe, in a way that's responsible, in a way that is low impact, right? And in a way that creates bandwidth for processing stuff, And I think even for kids, I think for senior citizens, for people of all ages that have a lot of stuff going on, especially in times like now with all of this like pandemic stuff and people are bugging out, like how can art be patronized in the interest of helping people, right? But again, as I said before, long story long, like, but again, as I said before, how does that get patronized, right? Without arts literacy. You have to understand what art is and its ability to positively affect outcomes, right? And I think the arts, the arts has yet to do that. And I think, unfortunately, the arts has yet to do that because I think the arts has yet to do that because perhaps there is no apparent reason to do anything else. But my logic is, if you help people, those people become patrons. That's my logic, because there's a lot of like people that have resources that are not artsy people, and because of how the art world kind of shuns and shames regular people because they don't know about Degas or Monet or Botticelli or George O'Keeffe or whomever, those people get intimidated by the arts and do not try to interface with it. You know, and it's just lost opportunity. And you just begin to wonder, like, if you did something for people, they'd have a reason to, at the very least, see what you're about. You being the arts, patronizing the arts, buying art, visiting museums, going to exhibitions, going to art fairs, you know, patronizing galleries, patronizing artists directly, going to open studios, going to art walks, like, you know, all of these art opportunities that could be expanded upon with more participation from more people. And with more people comes the democratization of patronage sources, right? So, like, artists don't have to deal with one kind of patron that doesn't truly appreciate their art. They're just collecting it because they understand the market is going to want this and they can get it to Christie's and all that, you know. And that's great. Like, that's fine. It really is. Like, that's more than fine. Point being, like, we can do both. I believe that we are so innovative as creatives, as business people, that we can walk and chew gum at the same time. So why not? You know. But again, art's function and its utility has to be demonstrated. You know, so doing my part with this podcast, with bringing up this kind of stuff. But yeah, the last time this happened on a global scale was the Italian Renaissance, and with these amazing works of art and these sculptures and these paintings and these drawings came the design for the first helicopter, came the design for the first airplane. Like, the ornithopter is the first helicopter. You know what I mean? Like, that came out of the Italian Renaissance. Saying that to say, like, when art is patronized, you get advancements in a lot of other things. And I think that's because creativity always winds up inspiring, no matter what the finished piece looks like. Creativity inspires, and it inspires an infinite amount of things. It's not just a couple things, but creativity is energy that turns into all type of stuff. You know, and when it's patronized and consistently patronized, like, it wasn't just paintings that the Italian Renaissance was manifesting. The architecture in Italy at that time was a result of the Italian Renaissance artists being patronized by nobles like the Medici family. And as a result, you got these beautiful like I think Catholic people call it a chapel. Is it a chapel? I went to a Catholic school as a kid. I should know this. But yeah, they built all these Catholic churches using the genius from artists during the Italian Renaissance. And they had the resources to plan, and the home and the workspaces and the drafting tables and the assistants and the wood and the clay and the paint and the this and then the brushes and all that stuff ready to go, because noble families were patronizing it, and then taking the artwork or taking credit for the artwork or putting their name on the building, or putting the artwork in their collection, and or gifting it to a different city to show their wealth and power. Art became political as a result of the Italian Renaissance, because these artworks are being utilized to show off from noble family to noble family, right? So a family basically pays for an artist's life. In exchange, the artist produces works of art, and the family has ownership over the final pieces. Cool. Then those families would display the artwork in town, or it'd be a building in town that people finally have access to after 8 years of construction. Or they send it to another city, a piece to another city, to loan it, to show their power and their wealth. Like, oh, we just got this made, but you can hold that for a little bit and then we'll take it back. You know what I mean? Like, it's a different time. But saying that to say, that is the beginning of the politicization. That is the beginning of art becoming a tool for politics, right? And then from there you get art being utilized as propaganda. And essentially, this is just my opinion based on experience. Essentially, if it is political, like being utilized as a tool for politics, not necessarily saying Democrat or Republican, not like that, but I mean like politics between people or organizations or institutions, its function in that context is propaganda, because it's pushing a certain like agenda, I think. That's my reasoning, if that makes sense. And a podcast is for me to make sense of my thoughts, right? And for you guys to enjoy me thinking about stuff. Anyway. Right, so, art for healing. Art for healing. How can the arts be utilized to treat people for mental health? It doesn't just have to be, oh, look, I like this painting. One of the things I've been thinking about with art lately is like impact. Impact. A piece can be beautiful. It can demonstrate mastery of technique and skill. And that's great. And you aim for that. I know I do with my artwork, and I believe I achieve it every time. That acknowledged. I also think it's about what you do with your art, what you do with your gift, right? Like, I think what I've observed in the arts, or with art in general, is like, imagine a gift box, like a box, like a gift. And certain people have a gift, right? They get this box and they like play with the content of the box. Right? They take it out like a toy and they play with it, right? And for me, I'm constantly wondering, what can I do with this? Right? Can I does it make planting something easier? Can I put water in it? Can I use it as a paperweight when I'm painting? Can I use it as a stepping stool? Like, what can I do with this? Right? And why am I doing it? You know? So it just makes me think, like, or it just makes me think. I actually a buddy of mine posted an interview that we did of me, and we were talking about Basquiat, and a lot of y'all already know my opinions about Basquiat and his work. It's not for me, yada yada yada. You already know. That acknowledged, it's like there are a lot of artists that don't really like his work, that have opinions that are very similar to mine. But for some reason, are not as transparent about it as I've been. And I wonder why that is. Like, I don't understand. I think everyone's entitled to their opinion. But I also think, like, there are a lot of people. You know what it is? I think for a lot of people who over the years have risen to a lot of great heights in the arts, come from the era of New York where Basquiat was on the rise. And for them, he represents a time. And even the reason I'm saying this now is because, like, my opinion is valid. My opinion is super valid. Ain't nobody gonna tell me mine isn't. My opinion is super valid when it comes to art. So as is the opinion of a lot of other great black artists and artists in general. But I think there's a general expectation to be like, Basquiat, Basquiat, Basquiat. And maybe it comes from certain institutions or certain people who have patronized his work or bought his work, feeling as though they've done black people a favor or something. I don't know. Not, like, I'm thinking about this in real time. Like, this is the point of a podcast. I'm thinking about this in real time. Like, do people think they did black people a favor by patronizing Basquiat? Because we didn't sign off on him. Put it all in the comments. Get at me in the comments. I don't like it. Basquiat. I'm thinking about this now, like, oh snap. Like, wow. Could it be that certain people think that, could it be that certain people think that they did black people a favor by patronizing Basquiat? Like, see, one of you are in the museum or we're in the gallery. You know what I mean? It's like, you know what I mean? Like, why is it that to have an adverse opinion about Basquiat is one where you have people in your comments talking about stuff they don't know, telling you that he's good, and then when you say like something like, I don't know, what is good? What is your criteria? They do everything and say everything except answer the question. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm happy to learn something. I hope you're ready to learn something, because I know a whole lot of stuff about art. You know? And a lot of people do as well. And I'm open to learning those things too. It's just like, you know, there's something to being a young black creative, and there is an expectation that such and such is your North Star, right? Like, I disagree with that. Your North Star should be determined by you and your practice. Your greatest teacher is your practice, right? Like, and then you see all these clones of people doing art like Basquiat, and then they drawing on refrigerators and stuff. It's just like, what are we doing, bro? Come on, dog. Like, and maybe it's just me because I'm a watercolor painter. I got to get watercolor paper. When I'm done with stuff, I got to spray fixative. Then I got to figure out a way to preserve it. Best case scenario, I can get it framed immediately after I finish it. But that takes a lot of resources to do for a lot of paintings all the time, consistently. So then you got to figure out a way to keep it preserved, you know, and then, you know, portfolio bags fill up with art, and then you got to find plastic slips. And it's just like I do a lot for my practice. And when y'all tell me dude was drawing on refrigerator doors, I'm like, nah, son, like, y'all bugging. And then you look at me like, see, you should do that. I'm like, you know, like, more power to him. Like, it's a black man's family now getting money. I think his family still has the rights to his art. I hope so. Same time, there's so many more black artists that were making substantial art, far more substantial art than Basquiat's work during the Harlem Renaissance. And I just wonder, like, while it's no one or no institution or gallery or whatever's responsibility to contribute to the betterment of any group of people. That's not their role, that's not their job, whatever. I wonder, like, if there is an opportunity to contribute to the upliftment of black people and black art in a real substantial way, then instead of positioning a black artist in a way that suggests that he should be the person that black creatives praise, contribute to the facilitating of black people having more access to the arts so that we can produce our own opinions. Contribute to access. Don't just put somebody in front of us that you think is, because clearly not us doesn't really know our needs and the things that we should address right now in real time as well as we do. So with as much access that has been denied via culture, via geography, via politics, via social structure, with all of that denial of access historically, let's look to make things correct by contributing to increased democratized access to the arts. And that starts with patronage. And patronage in a lot of instances starts with arts literacy, with people in positions of power understanding the true effects of patronizing the arts consistently and robustly. This is not a theory. This happened. The reason that people can go from one coast to the next, to the other, one country to another country with a plane is because of the Italian Renaissance. You don't get airplanes without the Italian Renaissance. You want flying cars? We're going to have to start seriously patronizing the arts. And it's not up for debate. Think about this. Linear thinkers have been exclusively in charge this entire time. And now we're here. Linear thinkers have been in charge exclusively this entire time. And now we're here with all the stuff going on in the world. Linear thinkers are crucial, but so are artists. And this entire time, artists, unfortunately, we have played a role in our devaluing, in our undervaluing, in society looking at us like something's wrong with us, when the reality is something's wrong with society because they won't play fairly with us, because they won't allow us to participate in a way that is deeper than just creating things visually, right? But creating things visually as well as creatively problem solving, right? I think a lot of the issues that affect us as a species, as a planet right now, are a result of a group of people that thinking in one way to solve a problem that demands creativity that is not present in that one group of people that think one way. So what am I saying? All of these people need someone in there to shake it up. You need someone to introduce new ideas, new concepts, a fresh mind. Right? And that's on the cultural tip. You need people that are experts that do not typically have opportunities for access to environments where creative solutions need to be created for issues that affect all of us. What am I talking about? Global warming, plastic in the oceans, fossil fuels, like all this stuff, like that's going crazy in the world. Obviously, this pandemic stuff, COVID, like all this stuff that's going crazy in the world. Like artists have a role to play in the production of solutions. And the last time we were allowed to play ball, we got a helicopter, we got airplanes, we got all type of cool stuff from the Italian Renaissance. We got new designs and architecture that we had never seen before. All because we decided to robustly and consistently patronize the arts. Oh, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. You know, so when there's a hyper realistic painting of Harriet Tubman and it's not so hyper realistic and this artwork is being celebrated and championed as great black art, and there's no one that looks like the artist who is qualified, and there's no one that looks like the artist that's qualified to critique in a fair and respectful and polite way, but also real. That is not no hyper realistic painting, baby. It's just not. It's just not. It's cool, but it's not hyper realistic. And the only reason that it's relevant enough to critique, in my opinion, is because the black art that's celebrated is the black art that people that are learning about black art, that want to become more in tune with black art, that want to understand black art and celebrate and appreciate black art more, are going to look at the pieces of work that have been celebrated, regardless if they've been celebrated by us or someone else. And that will be their starting point. That will be their reference point. And if Jacob Lawrence exists, Zora Neale Hurston, James Weldon Johnson, Alan Locke, Langston Hughes, all of these, Selma Burke, Augusta Savage, all of these brilliant minds and genius artists, Ramiri Bearden, Aaron Douglas, from the Harlem Renaissance. If these artists and these amazing works of art all already exist, and they existed before Basquiat and his weird paintings, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. Why exactly are we prioritizing Basquiat's work? And I know the answer to that question. It's because it has been celebrated and patronized by people that can afford to celebrate and patronize Basquiat's work. And then in turn, for black creatives, post the celebration of Basquiat's legacy, essentially, as he lost his life to a drug overdose of heroin, the question then becomes, for me, do y'all expect me to be like super grateful that the art world championed this black guy? Because I can think of like 3 other black artists who made incredible work in the late 1920s during the Harlem Renaissance that should be celebrated 10 times over Basquiat. And the chief reason being, it's not about how the art looks. It's not about the title of the art or what they had to say about the art or what they look like or how they made it or their practice or anything like that. It has everything to do with the questions that those paintings and those pieces and those sculptures and those writings and those books and those plays all were asking. They were asking black people and America, where are we from? What have we been through? Where are we going as black people? And I truly believe that those questions are still relevant today for black people. And Zora Neale Hurston was asking those kind of questions. Alan Locke was asking those kind of questions. Jacob Lawrence in his artwork was asking those kind of questions, prioritizing that kind of imagery, archiving that kind of culture, that kind of life that was happening all around him, and Aaron Douglas and Zora Neale Hurston and Selma Burke and Langston Hughes at that time in Harlem. All of these black people migrated from the South to northern cities like Chicago and Columbus, Ohio, and Harlem. And it's perplexing to me, like, people like what they like, his artwork sells a lot, and it should, like, art should sell for a lot. People should buy artwork. I want mine to be bought, Head to my Shopify via the shop button in my bio on Instagram. Link in the description. You gotta plug stuff, man. At the same time, in terms of institutions, in terms of places where people look to enrich themselves with culture that nourishes them and benefits them these are the spaces where I'm like, Aaron Douglas has been here the whole time. Ramira Bearden has been here the whole time. Selma Burke has been here the whole time. And exhibition after exhibition after exhibition after exhibition is this person who, unfortunately, more likely than not, is celebrated in lion's share because he was easy to take advantage of because he was an active user of heroin. Could it be that John Michael Basquiat was taken advantage of by gallerists, by collectors, by curators because of his addiction? I don't know the answer to that question. I wasn't there. But it's a fair question. And perhaps I'll leave you with that. Get in the comments, let me know what you think. Does it make sense? Are you hot about it? What's up? Let me know. Talk to y'all in a bit.